Hello everyone, I'm Ashim, extending welcome to all of you to this episode of Continuous Development Program. Today's focus will be primarily on learning outcome-based formative assessment. Well, as teachers, whenever we conduct classes, we always want to know how effective was the class. And for this, formative assessment is a very strong tool for a teacher to assess students after a particular class. Well, formative assessments are of various types. We shall talk about them slowly, one after another. But let us first understand what is formative assessment. During the class, we often ask questions, small questions, to test the previous knowledge of a student, as well as about the ongoing lesson. Questions like true and false, choose the correct answers, simple one-word answers, to assess the previous knowledge of the student as well as the progress of the student in the class. This feedback helps a teacher redesign, rather shift the focus to those areas where the attention is required the most. To carry on with the lesson in the class and to have the engagement of all the students, it is very important to address the learning gaps. Once the gaps are addressed, then the transaction of the lesson becomes a smooth sailing one. Well, formative assessment, it refers to a variety of assessment tools or methods which analyzes a child's performance in the class, unlike the summative assessment, which always happens at the end of a lesson, which are mostly descriptive, which are judgmental, which do not provide any feedback to the student. It simply classifies a student into grades. On the other hand, formative assessment is an assessment, it is for learning. It provides feedback to a child, so the child knows the shortcomings, so that the child can work on it, improvise it, and catch up with the remaining class. Well, its importance in education is huge. According to NEP 2020, as we shift our classes from more into competency-based classes, here the formative assessment, which are primarily based on the learning outcomes, play a very crucial role. It fosters a positive environment in the classroom by reinforcing all the loopholes and addressing them so that a child never feels left out, rather a child feels engaged in the classroom. And to have an inclusive classroom, a teacher, along with the learning outcomes in mind, should also emphasize on formative assessment from time to time. Not only that, it is advisable to record, if possible, to record those formative assessment feedbacks so that the teacher can improvise his or her lesson in future classes. So overall, a learning outcome is that specific statement that articulates a student how much learning has taken place in the classroom, or be able to do educational experiences by a teacher. See, the ultimate aim of all these tools to enable a teacher to create a more engaged classroom with interactives, hands-on experience, etc. So moving on to the key components of formative assessment, let us understand how assessment helps a teacher during a classroom. As a teacher, when I enter my classroom and talk about a particular topic, I always want my student to be engaged in the classroom, take active part in all the activities so that true learning can happen. And as a teacher, when I stand in the class talking to my students, I need quick feedback to quickly analyze the situation, that whether true learning is really being taking place or not. As we all know, some students are very introvert. They do not come up with feedback or reflections immediately. They are little shy ones. So to engage them also in the class, we need to adopt different tools, different methods, so that even they also feel engaged in the class. They also take active part in the classroom activities. This feedback not only helps a teacher to evaluate the lesson, as well as can also evaluate how much learning has taken place. Because all the learning outcomes that we talk about in a classroom situation, they're all measurable. And there are specific tools to measure these learning outcomes to make a lesson more effective. So there are many techniques, as I was mentioning, like quizzes, peer assessment, self-assessment. Educators can engage students in small groups, declare an activity, ask them to perform the activity, and with the help of teachers' guidance, they achieve the desired results that we are looking for. In today's world, as we are slowly shifting from traditional classes to more technology-based classes, we are talking about artificial intelligence in today's world. So engaging education technology in the classroom can go a long way to shape how a teacher teaches a lesson or transacts a lesson in the classroom with the help of ICT. Integrating education technology in the classroom is very important as we shift during this period of transition from conventional classroom to ICT-enabled classrooms. Formative assessments can help the teacher transact the desired learning outcomes into the students. So for this, there are various tools available today as free and open source softwares. So later during this session, we will be talking about some of these tools, how to use them to make our teaching effective in the classroom. Formative assessment, it involves a student into the lesson. As I was mentioning, that these assessments are assessment for learning. rather assessment of learning. When we talk about assessment of learning, we refer to summative assessments, which happen 4 times a year, like unit tests, half-yearly exams, annual exams, etc., or fortnightly exams. These are mostly descriptive. They simply test the memory of a student, but not the skill a student has picked up during the class. So when we combine learning outcomes with formative assessments, we produce wonderful results. Then the question arises, the question hovers our mind, how to implement what I was saying so far. Well, in order to implement the formative assessment techniques in the classroom, we need to sit down and design our tools. Now, various instructional design tools are available nowadays. The most popular and the common one is the ADDIE model, ADDIE model. This model is widely used by teachers when they design a lesson plan or any instructional material to be delivered in the classroom. So planning and designing is a very important and integral part of any lesson. We need to focus on few things: the time duration, specific learning outcome, specific tools that we use to assess the learning outcome, as well as the feedback mechanism. Because feedback is very important to align, or rather realign, a student into the system so that the learning graph continues. Again, I would stress, as we plan assessment tools like quizzes, presentations, simple multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, or simple short answers which can be answered in a word or two. These we can plan out before we go to the class and make our teaching effective in the classroom. Yes, integrating formative assessment into our curriculum is an integral part, and we must focus more on assessing learning outcomes, assessment for learning. We are living in an era which is witnessing a revolutionized way of transacting lesson in the classroom. Technology, different methods have crept into our system to enhance the learning outcomes in the classroom. Successful formative assessments not only provides the teacher with the necessary feedback or data based on which future plans can be initiated or rather designed. But one thing all of us as teachers should be very particular about ensuring that the assessment that we conduct are relevant to the topic, are relevant to the learning outcome, are relevant to the skills that we want the students to develop on a particular topic. So that precaution must always be taken as teachers. We simply cannot go and conduct random assessment in the classroom. Yesterday only, I was taking a class in the 10th grade on refraction of light. So I took very few skills, like they should know what is a reflection of light. They should be able to identify the phenomena from the day-to-day examples. And the class that we get in our school, we're a little lucky in this case that the class already has a smart television where we can project our presentations, we can show images, animations, and conduct the class. So yesterday, after taking a class on refraction of light, towards the end, I kept around 10 minutes for assessment, for which I already pre-planned a quiz based on the topic, on the various skills. I set a 6-question quiz for the students, and I gave them 10 minutes time for this. I was just rolling the question one after another, and I asked them to note down the correct option on a notebook. And then I asked the students to exchange the copies among themselves and do the correction as I display the correct answer on the screen. I was surprised, or rather happy, to know that majority of the students scored 5 out of 6. They got 5 questions correct out of 6 questions. So that gave me a feedback or some kind of data which tells me that the methodology that I used in the classroom to transact the topic refraction of light, it was apt and the learning outcome was achieved. The student developed the necessary skill on refraction of light. So we teachers, we play a very crucial role in the classroom, and it depends how we go about our lesson plans for our classes. Keeping in mind few important things like the type of learners in our classes, the learning approaches that we adopt, the type of, the nature of, methods that we used to deliver the topic to the class. It can be demonstration, it can be activity-based, it can be lecture-based, it can be some hands-on experience. And at the same time, assessing them towards the end or during the session is very important to keep the class engaged, to keep the class move in a packet so that no one is left out. To monitor progress of students in the class, some of these tools are really handy for a teacher. Educators depend a lot on formative assessment techniques to monitor the progress, the true progress of a class. We have been assessing them on the basis of how much they can memorize, how much they can retain in their memory. Well, we must attempt to have a blended approach, memory along with the necessary skills to trigger problem-solving attitude among the students. It not only helps them in their real-life situations, but also boosts their morale for their future preparations, and probably we will be successful in developing future learners or a learner for lifetime. Specifically talking about the benefits of learning outcomes through the various formative tools. So as I say, formative assessments, it facilitates real-time feedback for a teacher so that the teacher can spontaneously improvise his or her lesson during the class and can adapt to the situation that prevails in the classroom so that the learning gap can be minimized or can be eliminated so that the progress becomes uniform or attainable. Feedback not only helps us improvise the teaching techniques, but it also helps us, address one-to-one the special requirement by a child in the classroom. Study shows that consistent formative assessments practices lead to higher achievement levels and better retention of knowledge among students. Yes, formative assessments give a kind of positive reinforcement, a positive feedback to a student so that the student knows the shortcomings and can improvise on that and move forward. So this kind of positive feedback is the need of the hour. In our classrooms, we need to reinforce positive feedback. Formative assessments enhances engagement of students, as I've already spoken on it. That when we adopt this technique in the classroom, we not only transact the lesson, but also we invite 100% attention of a child in the class, which is very necessary for a teacher to carry on, to move on with the lesson. So students' engagement is very crucial and it can be achieved through various formative assessments. Well, these formative assessments, they provide ample data of his or her class, the effectiveness of the class, the laggings of the class, or the learning gap that has to be addressed. So data-driven classroom is always a better classroom, where children get the opportunity to engage themselves. They can collaborate with peers. They can collaborate with others for positive growth. So when we talk about holistic development, formative assessment go a long way in shaping their character as a student in schools. And this has become the need of the hour, considering the fact that the various prevailing situations in the classes today, which needs immediate attention. So adopting learning outcome-based formative assessment and integrating education technologies can shape, or we can revisit our classrooms with more enthusiasm, with more zeal for students to absorb or develop the necessary skills which they are expected to. So well, at the end, I would only say, as envisioned in NEP 2020, that it is the need of the hour to have competency-based education for our children and positive assessment, reformative assessment for our children. So in the next segment, we shall be talking about some of the popular tools to create or generate formative assessment for teachers in the classroom. So see you in the second part. Thank you. Well, viewers, let us now explore some of the online tools which helps a teacher to develop various formative assessments for the students in a classroom. These applications are categorized as free and open source softwares, which is popularly known as FOSS tools, and they can be downloaded very easily from the Google Play Store or iOS operating system. These tools enable a teacher to develop various types of formative assessments for a classroom, like multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, match the column, even designing a crossword. So let us try to understand what are these interactive assessment tools. As a teacher, we always want immediate feedback while using a particular tool in the classroom when it comes to assessment. As I was discussing, that formative assessment enhances a teacher to design or align a particular class in order to achieve the desired skills among the students, for which the interactive based assessment tools are the best to be used in a classroom. These tools not only engages the student, but also gives an opportunity to the teachers to get the attention of a child in the classroom, at the same time assess the child. Some of these popular interactive assessment tools, which we call H5P tools. So if you search in the Google search bar H5P assessment tools, so you'll get a long list of such tools, as you can see in the screen. Plenty of options available to develop assessment and evaluation for the classroom. But today, let us explore the features of Lumi Education. So for this, you have to click this link, and the landing page of Lumi Education opens up. So here you have the option of signing up. So when we click this button, it takes us to the sign up page, where we'll have to fill up some of this information. So we can register ourselves with our email IDs and generate a password. Or we can also log in with our other IDs like Google ID or even Microsoft IDs. So let's try with the Google ID. So once we click, we have the option of choosing our Google ID. So I'm going to choose one of my ID. And it takes us to the logged in page. So here are some description about the various subscriptions that are offered by Lumi Education. So for the time being, we'll just skip this. So we'll focus on these options that you can see in the screen. My content, create new content, upload your content, deployments, and public content, etc. So we'll focus on create new content. So using this tool, we can develop a number of assessment types, like as you can see here, the various options that are displayed. We can create interactive video, course presentation, multiple choice question, quiz, fill in the blanks, drag the words, column matching, drag and drop option is there, image hotspot is there, and you can also develop memory games, flashcards, etc. True and false questions, mark the words, etc. So as teacher, when we talk about formative assessment, we want some quick responses. So for which we either depend on multiple choice questions or true or false questions to assess the learner on a particular skill. But while framing the questions, we have to be careful enough to select the questions or frame the question in such a way that it is in line with the learning outcome of that particular session. We can also follow the various models of rubrics where we can have different levels of assessment questions, which identifies the skills at the various competency levels. Yeah, to start with, let us create few fill in the blanks questions for the class. So for this, from the landing page, we have to click this fill in the blanks, and this particular page opens up. Here we can set the title of this assessment plan, and here you can see a metadata button is provided. So once you click this, this window pops up where we can set a title for our assessment, fill in the blank. So let us do it for biology class 10, and let us pick the chapter called life process, and under life process I'm going to pick the nutrition part. Okay, so I'm going to name this as nutrition vis-a-vis human digestive system. Okay. In the dialog box, as you can see, it is asking for a license. So viewers, we will have a special session on the various types of license and how to adhere to the various license options for our educational resources. So right now, I'm going to choose a Creative Commons license, which are fairly free to use. So I have chosen CC by SA, and then I'll just put the year 2025. Let me write the author's name. So let me put my name, for example. Okay, then I save the author, and then save metadata. So as you can see, the title is reflecting nutrition, human digestive system. Now, this is the area where we set the questions. It is called task description. So what kind of task we are setting for the students? That it is basically fill in the missing words, which we popularly call fill in the blanks. Okay. Then we come to the text blocks. So here you can see some instructions are provided, how to set the questions, etc. Blanks are added with an asterisk in front and behind the correct word or phrase. So viewers, when you type a question, you have to type along with the answer, and to highlight the answer, it has to be within asterisks at the beginning as well as at the end. This is how we write the fill in the blank questions. So let us take, for example, let me type the first question. Say I'm calling it, say, question number 1 for my worksheet. So we can set any question we like, for example, say liver produces. So the blank should come here, but as the instruction says, in the blank we have to provide the answer with asterisks. Yeah, so I start with an asterisk, then I write the answer, BILE, and then close it. So this is our first question. So like this, I want more questions to be added in the worksheet. So I can click here, add text block. So that takes me to the second question. So again, similar instructions are shown on the screen. So here I'm going to write the second question. So I write second question. And here I can write something, human saliva contains the enzyme called, then a blank should be here. Now, in the blank, I have to provide the answer, say salivary amylase. So it has to be closed. So this has become the second question. Similarly, we can add many questions or as many questions we want to keep in the worksheet for the students in the class. So the procedure will be the same. It will be just a repetition. We have to click add text block, and that will take us to the next question. If you drop down and you'll see overall feedback, so we can also give the students immediate feedback about their responses, whether they have answered it correctly or the score that they have, on the basis of the score, the scoring pattern, we can give them some positive feedback. Like, for example, I'm going to do like this. So add range. So if someone is getting from 0 to 30%, then the feedback should be, say, needs improvement. Okay. Then the second category, add range, say maybe 31 to 60%. So for them, we can just write satisfactory. So it depends on how you want to, give feedback to your students. And say 61 to 100, so I want to say excellent. Okay. So in this worksheet, we have added two questions. The metadata also is complete. We have filled up the metadata sheet. And if you want to see how does it look like, so we'll have to go to view. No, first we need to save this, sorry. We need to save this first. Okay. Now we want to check how does this assessment look like. So we'll just click here, view. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, the instruction is printed out at the top, fill in the missing words, and the two questions below it. So the first question, liver produces, then you can see a blank box where a student is expected to fill the answer. So let us fill liver produces bile. So I just have to punch bile into that box. So we are done with the first one. So now I need to answer the second question. So human saliva contains the enzyme called, suppose I write only amylase. Okay, so this is my response, and I want to check whether how I have done. So I have to click here, check. So as you can see, my first answer response is a correct response, whereas my second response is a wrong one, and it is showing so. At the same time, it is showing some feedback at the bottom. It is showing satisfactory because I got 1 correct out of 2, and we set it like this. You also have an option of checking the correct answers for both the questions. So to do this, we just have to click here, show solution. So the correct answers are shown immediately. So as teachers, sometimes we find it a little difficult when it comes to availability of gadgets or devices in the classroom. Here we can team up with other teachers having a smartphone. We can request our colleagues to come to our class with their devices. We can convert the entire class into groups, and each group we can assign a particular teacher with a smartphone, and the students as a group can take up this assessment with the help of teachers. Or we can send the link to the students having a smartphone at home as a link through WhatsApp or other social media platforms, whereby they can click the link and take the assessment. At the same time, we also have an option to export whatever we have created to different formats. We also can download from here as HTML file or H5P, cloud file. Many a times, as a teacher, we ask students to, fill up or respond to a particular worksheet. So this can become a very informative, interactive worksheet for the students. So we explored so far how do we create, generate, fill in the blanks. At the same time, we can also create multiple choice questions, match the column, drag the word features, as well as puzzles can be generated. So let us try some other tool at the same time, some other option. So for this, I just have to go back and go to the landing page where I have all the options of interactive resources. So we can choose from here multiple choice questions. So the basic procedure will remain the same. First, we need to generate the metadata. So we can give some title, then year of publication, author's name, and then save the metadata. And then while setting the questions, so as you can see, this text box is labeled as question, and we need to fill up the options here below. So by default, it has only 2 options, okay, option A and option B. But if we need more options to be provided to the students, so we can click on this button, add option, and this will keep on adding more and more options. So as the convention goes in our classrooms, we usually provide 4 options to a particular question. But for quick assessment, we may not adopt the 4 options model. We can go for only 2 options in the classroom. So as we type the question here, okay, we have the basic editing features available to us, like how the font should look like, the alignment, etc. So only thing is that we need to type the question here. Suppose since we have chosen class 10 biology, life process, specifically nutrition, human digestive system. So let us think of a question that tests the skill, the required skill for nutrition, specifically human digestive system. So here we can take, for example, water is absorbed by, so this is a question, and the first option, say I want to write, say small intestine. The second option, say large intestine. Then the third option, stomach. The fourth option, say rectum. Okay. Now, here I have to indicate which is the correct option. So large intestine is the correct option. So I'll just click here. This is the correct option. So I'm done with the first question. Like this, I can add more questions to assess the students. So in this manner, we can also add overall feedback the way we did it for the fill in the blanks, and follow the same procedure of saving or exporting. We can also download. Now viewers, I would like to share with you another app, a very interesting one. It is called the Socrative. This also provides an opportunity for real-time assessment. Here I would like to say that as teachers, we learn these tools for assessment, but being an online tool, they undergo a lot of modifications very frequently. So today, the available facility or the buttons that you can see on the screen, tomorrow it may not be the same. So as teachers, we should always keep this in mind, that whenever we learn a new tool, we should learn how it works, so that if tomorrow some updates are added into the particular tool, we should be able to recognize that and start working with it. So let us now explore the features of Socrative. As you can see in the screen, so it asks signing up. So you can sign it as teacher. Students can also log in as a student. So let me sign as teacher. So as you click that button, these informations you need to fill up, like your first name, your last name, your email ID, you confirm your email ID, and you can set a password for this. But right now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, since I already have an account with Socrative, so I have already added my credentials into the software. So as I log in with my Google ID, this page opens up, where I can design quiz, space race, exit ticket, multiple choice questions, true or false, short answers, etc. Now here, the remaining features almost the same. Here in this particular app, there is a provision for short answers, where students are expected to write a sentence or two. But this app identifies the relevance of the answer by picking up few keywords. So as teachers, when we set short answer type questions, at the same time we will have to identify the keywords that this software will pick up to grade the answer, to grade the relevancy of the answer. Well, let us now generate a quiz for a student. So for this, we have to click at library. And as you can see, two buttons here, new folder and add quiz. So I just want to go for add quiz. So I click at add quiz. So it provides a few options for me. Either we can select this blank quiz template where we set the questions ourselves, write the options ourselves, or we can use AI-based tools, question answers. So let us explore generate questions using AI. So if I click this, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, a box popped up where we have to write the prompt for the questions, for the topic. Particularly for the topic, we have to set the prompt. Just below, what type of questions we need is displayed. So we have to choose whatever we want. So either it can be true or false, or it can be a combination of all three, or it can be only true or false, or it can be only multiple choice questions. So according to our requirement, we can go for this. So let us go for true or false for the time being. And here it is asking whether we need explanation for that particular question or not. So let us not choose explanation part right now. But for a better feedback or positive feedback, we can opt for generating explanation for each question for the student. Below this, it is asking the number of questions that I want to create. Is it 5 questions or 10 or 15 questions? So let us select 5 questions for the time being. And I come back to the prompt box. Here I need to write what I want as an assessment. Suppose I want to test the skills that they are expected to develop after going through the lesson nutrition in human beings. So I can just write human digestive system and click this button, generate. So the artificial intelligence will generate questions for this topic. We can be more specific while giving instruction. I have given a broader term, human digestive system. Now we can be very pinpointed topic we can pick up. And these are the 5 questions AI suggested for us. Now, as teacher, we should read these questions for the relevance. The human digestive system starts with the mouth and ends with the anus, true or false question. So if you want this, we can just pick it up, or you can just add more instructions here. So let us, for example, accept these 5 questions. We just need to add all the questions after our satisfaction. So all the 5 questions will be added here. This quiz I can name as human digestive system. And then the answers also are shown, the correctness of the answers, the correct option. And once we are done with this, we can save this and exit. And this will be added to our library. So now if I click this page, so this quiz opens up once again for us. Here we can do further editing with the fonts, or we can add more questions if we like. So since all are okay, so I'm just clicking save and exit again. Now here by the side, these 3 dots, if I click, it is giving us options like share, duplicate, move to, download button, as well as delete. Suppose I want to share this link to a particular WhatsApp group created for the students, which we generally do. we create WhatsApp group because during the pandemic, we were forced to, shift to smartphones, and we shared a lot of information, even instructions through our WhatsApp groups. So we can share this link to WhatsApp group. So we can copy, import link, and then I can go to the WhatsApp group, paste it there, and then post it. Students, by clicking this particular link, can join the assessment sheet and mark their responses. So we have seen how these interactive tools help us develop assessment contents, whether it is multiple choice questions or fill in the blanks or true or false, and deploy it or employ it in the classroom for immediate feedback from the students as a process called assessment for learning. Like this, there are various tools which can be employed to develop various types of assessment, and they are all FOSS tools. In due course, the names of these tools will be provided. So for today, that's all for today. We'll see you in the next episode with more interesting tools and more excitement. So till then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.